Hi, I wanted to go over a few settings you should know about when traveling for either your iPhone, your iPad, or your Android device. Now, all of these devices are going to be a little different depending on which device you're using and which version of that device you're using, but all those are going to be fairly similar. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do is find your settings button, and you're going to open that. Now, if you can't find that, there's a few ways to do it. Now, right here, you got a little search bar on my phone on this version. And now, if you just type in settings, you'll see that settings bar comes right open. Now, if it doesn't appear for you right there, that little settings bar, what I like to do, you can just scroll to the left through all your settings to your app library. You just click on that, and again, you just punch in settings, pull that open right there, and you have access to all the settings you're going to need for this. Now, again, it's going to be a little different depending on what device and what version you're using, but all of it's going to be pretty much similar. Now, the first thing you're already going to be probably familiar with is that airplane mode. When you fly somewhere, you click on that, and you instantly go to airplane mode. And you see your cellular goes to airplane mode right away, and that's an indication there, as well as that little airplane icon up there. Most important thing is when you land, don't forget to turn it off, or you're going to have a bunch of problems. A lot of people do that. I do that. So go back, turn that off. Next thing I want to show you is when you're getting on your airplane mode, actually, you might have some issues. Obviously, you're not going to be wanting to make phone calls. You might have some issues with your Wi-Fi. You're going to want to turn your Wi-Fi on if it's off and find that airplane, Wi-Fi password, accept all their terms and all that stuff. Now, if that doesn't take you right to a login screen, what you want to do is simply go to whatever browser you're using, Safari or Chrome, open a browser window, and that's going to ask you, do you agree to those terms from your airplane? Accept that. That'll take you to the login screen. One other problem we might have, if I go back to settings, is if you're using a VPN. That might prevent you from logging in to a airplane mode kind of thing. Now, speaking of VPNs, I did want to discuss this. There's a bunch of options. Here's two that I use. One is NordVPN. They offer a bunch of paid plans. Proton VPN is another popular choice that offers an unpaid version. Speaking of this, if you see VPN under settings, it shows you that we're connected. I have had issues trying to turn it off by hitting this button right here. So if you're using a VPN and you need to turn it off, what I like to do if I have trouble is just go to the actual app itself. In this case, I'm using, this one. Another thing you could do if you can't find it is like we did before, just search for it, Proton VPN, and there it is right there. And then just disconnect manually. And now, if we go back to our settings, you'll see we're not connected anymore. Okay, the next thing we want to look at, speaking of VPNs, why else might we want to turn it off? You might have issues connecting to certain websites with your VPN on, such as, your bank doesn't want you using a VPN sometimes. Netflix doesn't want using a VPN, and sometimes when I'm grocery shopping, it has trouble telling where I'm at. I could be connected in the Netherlands, and I'm shopping Los Angeles. It doesn't like that. So you might want to turn your VPN off for a variety of reasons. So speaking of VPNs, I should probably mention, why do we use one, right? So as I mentioned, these are just a couple options out of many. Basically, the reason we use one is for protection. It's to protect our identity, and it's as simple as that. I'll try to do another video that goes more into depth, but for now, it's just an added layer of protection that it's recommended that we all use. It's as simple as that. The next thing I wanted to share here is your personal hotspot. You want to make sure you turn this off for the most part. Unless you're sharing this, your Wi-Fi from your phone with somebody else intentionally, just turn it off and never share this password. Do not share this unless you want somebody else to have access to your phone's Wi-Fi. Turn this off. The next setting I want to show you on here is your Bluetooth. Right now mine is turned on. The reason, if you don't know what Bluetooth is, the reason to have it on is if you connect to a very close device, say wireless headphones, a wireless speaker, or say your car, if you're navigating wirelessly in your car, or if you're talking on the phone through your car's speakers, you'd have your Bluetooth turned on. But if you're not doing any of those things, turn it off, especially when you're traveling. This is a very easy way for a hacker or somebody to get access to your phone. So if you're not using it, turn it off. Another important item when you're traveling, of course, is going to be your phone's battery. You can see I'm not even traveling and I'm already down to 47%. So when I am traveling, I want to go to my battery and I want to turn on low power mode. And what this is going to do is, of course, preserve as much battery as possible. So again, to do that, it's under your settings, battery, and low power mode. Make sure it's green, that means it's going. Speaking of low power mode, there's another thing you should do when you're traveling, or even when you're not traveling, to just sort of preserve your battery life or your battery integrity, and to keep your device operating quickly or smoothly. And that's just to close unneeded apps. And there's a very easy way to do that. And it's quite simply the same on any Apple device. I think also on Android devices, it's pretty much the same. You just pull up from the bottom, very bottom of the screen, and that will open any apps you have open right now. Again, just from the very bottom of the screen, pull up, hold up, and then you'll see all apps. To close any of these apps, just flick them up, straight up, one by one, and you'll see them disappear. And now, if I hold up, there are no open apps. When you're not using apps, it's a good idea to close them because otherwise they are taking up some of your device's processing power and some of the battery. So unless you're using them, it's good practice to close them. The next thing I want to discuss while you're traveling is your Wi-Fi, of course. Now, personally, I would suggest turning your Wi-Fi off while you're traveling. Just keep that off, and once you've arrived at your destination, then you can turn it on. It'll suggest a bunch of networks, and then you pick whatever it is you want, your friend's house, the hotel, the whatever it is. Then you can turn it on, that one. Otherwise, just leave it off. Right now, it's of course, it's going to be set to your home network. It's going to remember certain networks. So, down here, you've got ask to join networks. I usually like ask. You can turn it off, notify networks. No networks will be joined automatically. If no networks are available, you'll be asked before joining. So you don't want it to automatically join a network that you don't know. That's very important, and let me show you this most important setting right down here. Auto join hotspot. You want to make sure, more than anything I teach you today, that this is not set to automatic. I'll show you that very clearly. If this is set to automatic, your phone, if you can't pick up any Wi-Fi that it knows about, is going to go, it's going to discover any nearby hotspot and log right into that, and you don't want that to happen because who knows, somebody could have a Wi-Fi set up for nefarious purposes, and anything you do on that becomes their knowledge. You go to your bank, they can see that. You go to your doctor or however personal stuff you're doing on there, that becomes their knowledge. You don't want to do that. Make sure it's set to never. Forget this stuff there. FBI surveillance ban. Somebody's got a sense of humor. It is not me. And yeah, that's what I want to teach you about Wi-Fi. Make sure that's set to off while you're traveling, unless you've got it like a Wi-Fi on a train or something like that, or your plane. Otherwise, leave it off till you get to your destination. Now, I mentioned turning your Wi-Fi off when you're traveling, but of course that means you're going to want to use your cellular for making calls or navigating. So to do that, of course, under Wi-Fi, we're going to go here to cellular. Now I'm holding my thumb here to block some important information, so I'll pull that up a little bit. And what I want to show you here are the settings under cellular for cellular data, roaming, again, hotspot off, but make sure your cellular data is on and make sure your data roaming is on when you're traveling. Now, of course, these are going to incur some charges with your cell phone provider, assuming you have a plan, but that's what you're going to need when your Wi-Fi is off to make calls or for navigating. I'm going to go back a second. I'm going to cover my phone number because I want to show you something else on this device. So also under cellular, you'll see down here Wi-Fi calling. You're going to want to make sure that that is set to on under Wi-Fi calling. That you want pretty much on all the time unless you're in a car or something like that. Wi-Fi calling on there is going to help you pretty much just avoid cellular charges. It's going to make your call experience a little bit better when you have good Wi-Fi. If you have not good Wi-Fi, turn it off and use your cellular. So those are really some of the most important things I wanted to show you. We're all really here under these settings. There are a couple bonus point things I did want to go over if you have the time here under general. This is kind of one you might want to know about here under AirDrop. I like to put this setting to contacts only, and this is if you're airdropping. It's a way to share information like photos and stuff like that with people. I like to set it with contacts only, that way you're only sharing with people you know. That way somebody can't just steal information from your phone, makes it a little harder. Another thing is bringing devices together. I use this on occasion, but if you don't ever use it, if you don't know what it is, go ahead and turn that off. Pickpocket type people, if somebody's standing real close to you in a crowded bus or train station or something like that, they can hold their phone right next to yours. If they know what they're doing, they can steal some information from your phone this way. So if you're paranoid about it, if you don't ever use it, you may as well turn it off. A couple other added security features I wanted to show you are down here under Face ID and passcode. Of course, I'm not going to show you my actual, passcode. So once you've unlocked your Face ID and passcode with your passcode there, it is going to ask you for your passcode each time. If you scroll down, you'll see a couple settings. Make sure your device, stolen device protection is set to on. Green means on. So you want to make sure that is set to on. In addition, if you go down to here, I like to make sure my wallet is off, and this is allow access when locked. Personally, I don't want somebody to steal my phone and be able to access the wallet. That's something I use for a lot of different things, and I don't feel secure that being turned on. And that pretty much covers that setting there. A few other things, as long as I'm here, are under the privacy and security settings. Under location services, first of all, make sure your location services are on. I'm not going to turn it off. Leave that on. Make sure that's on. And then you go to share my location. And this is important. I would go to find my phone and make sure all of these are on. Find my phone, find my network, and send last location. These are in case you either lose your phone or your phone gets stolen. This will potentially help you find it. Obviously if your phone is stolen, maybe not so much. But if your phone, say you've been to 3 or 4 stores and a couple restaurants or bars, and you drop it somewhere, this could potentially, help you find it down the road. So I would make sure these are turned back on or turned on. And that should just about cover that. Make sure this is on, share my location. And that will help you in case of emergencies like that, especially if you're abroad and you don't want to lose your phone. Lastly, that really covers all the settings here, but on a personal note, I would make sure if you're traveling abroad, make sure you contact your cell phone provider. They may have a cheap international plan. You don't want to get hit with the outrageous charges that you didn't know about. And they may have some special regulations or something you need to do regarding a SIM card, depending on what model of phone you have. So you may need to look into that as well. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy, and reach out to us if you need any additional support.